And welcome back to Success on the Spectrum, the podcast, where we have literally been on this call already for 40 minutes and we still don't have it together. It is Shay, Brittany, Morgan, and Lindsay back with a little bit of different programming this week. So we are talking about something that got brought up during one of Shay and my most recent episodes. But we're going to be talking about neurodivergence in business, in the professional realm, the good, the bad, and the brutally honest. A question that Shay had asked during that episode was, do I worry about it being a negative affect, me being vocal about my autistic diagnosis in the professional realm? And it got me thinking a lot about the ways that neurodivergence can blossom in that environment, how it can hinder us, and what we think you guys should know. So I'm going to start with the good on my side. The one thing that I think is the biggest positive to employing neurodivergence, and that is that we are the canaries in a coal mine. I read this the other day and I could not agree more. We, because of our pattern recognition, our sense of justice, our feel for authenticity, our ability to see when things are going to go wrong way before they happen, that makes us actually key components in being able to early identify when systems, programs, employees, et cetera, aren't going to work out. Sometimes that's seen as us being like the negative Nancy's or whatever. But I believe as an employer, if you learn how to harness that, you get a very early testing system for new techniques, tools, etc. So that's what I think is one of the best things about it, is like, if you learn how to harness those little skill sets, you have a power force. And that's what I did when I went into consulting. I'm realizing I just got into everybody else's boat and was like, those are holes. Let's fix them.
Yeah, we love a system. And if there's not one in place, we will make it.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. So that's a good one also.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I kind of wrote mine from a different perspective. I'm in sales. I've been in sales for 4 years, and I just kind of wrote or thought about, I guess, how ADHD shows up in a great way in sales. And so for me, it's very stimulating because every single day is different. Every client is different. Every customer is different. Every pitch, every presentation, like every single day is different. And then also in sales, there's lots of like incentives and goals and things to chase. And so like, it's very rewarding because like we love reward systems. And I've always been like, I want to win that prize, whether I care about this stupid pair of Nikes or not. I'm like, I'm going to beat all of you and get those, you know what I mean? And it's just like something to focus on, and another reward system too, in 1099 sales is that the harder that you work, like the more money you get paid in the first few years, and so that's another like reward system where I was like, if I just like grind this out, there's no like ceiling, you know what I mean? And so that was always it was just stimulating. I could never just like walk in to a cubicle.
We're all just BF Skinner rats drinking cocaine water.
Iris, I just can't sit still is the problem. And
I learned that early on too, Shay, where I was like, okay, like, what is my purpose? Like, if I'm not like chasing some sort of incentive or like trying to beat someone or having like some sort of goal end in mind where it's like a reward at the end, like, why would I want to do that job? Like, why, like, how can people just go to a job for 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day or whatever it is and know, okay, I'm going to make $15 an hour, but that's the most I'll make. And then when I leave, like, it just, my brain I never could get excited.
I used to have that same thought process, but living with my boyfriend, soon to be a fiance, living with my boyfriend, who I see him get up and write code for hours upon hours, and he loves it. Last night, it was like 10 p.m. And I was like, okay, Cody, are we going to be done? I call him Cody when he's coding. And he was like, soon, because he just loves it. Just sits and codes. So some people really like it.
I just can't imagine. Yeah, it doesn't work on me at all.
It's his form of art, though.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things that I thought, when I was thinking about what's good about like neurodivergence is kind of similar to what you were saying about why sales is interesting, is because you genuinely do wonder about different various things. And that allows you to have more genuine conversations with people because you're not like pretending to like some niche topic. You're like, you actually probably did research it for like 3 to 6 hours one night out of nowhere and then have like hyper fixated on it for a while. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're having this conversation. Like, you're into that too, and you like connect with people, but it's like, it's a very genuine connection. And you just kind of have a little bit more like in your arrow deck, you know what I mean? To like pull out of. Is that what that's called? The bag where you pull the arrows out of? That doesn't sound right. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Your quiver? I believe it's called a quiver. It's a quiver of arrows.
Yes. Yes, it is. Thank you, Lindsay. See?
Mhm.
See, you just know stuff. You just know stuff. And the pattern recognition, I think, too, is also key because not only does it help you discern, maybe a good or bad fit, but also it helps you engage in more collaborative partnerships because you can find better, more creative ways to like work together. And you're just like, I don't really know what kind of position I maybe have, but I feel like whatever you have to offer, I kind of like need in my organization or like whatever, you can find ways to do that. Like Shay, I know you talked about this before when you were running your team and you're like, yeah, I just basically had a million little Shays. Like, how to create strategic partnerships based on the vibe.
Yeah.
The tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. Something I think would be hard for me. Well, we can get into that in the next section, which is the bad. Yeah. But
Morgan, what's the good for you?
Yeah, I mean, really, I think being able to work like at my own accord. And I feel like the big deal for me is like when I feel really, really, really good, I'm able to like channel how I feel and work at that level of productivity. But of course we're gonna break down the bad, but yeah, like I have, the ability to channel when that is and when I'm productive. And in sales, like even in like corporate sales, like it's really sales in general that's allowed me to have the ability to work when I feel productive. Because the days that I'm not, like I might as well just go home. Like it's not going to do me any good to like push through something. And I never was able to do that other than in sales. So like literally this is like 15, 16, 7, can't even count now. I'd have to look because I was 12 years in corporate and then door to door also. So I'm like sitting at like 17, 18 years of sales where they told me, they're like, if you were at quota, you don't have to come into the office. And I'm like, okay, bet I'm never gonna like literally ever. So like I just in my mind was like, okay, the more freedom the harder I work, the more money I make, but also the more freedom I have. So but knowing when I feel good to like channel that energy, and like when I'm not feeling that way, when to like kind of bow out, because it's like addictive for sure, like hyper focused always, no matter what the product's been. So
I had that too, that like the ability to capitalize on your manic bursts where you're like, you don't, it's not like a clock in, clock out, the same structure where it's like, okay, now I just have to like at least pretend I'm working for 8 hours. Like you really do learn how to like, when you're intuitive as well, you learn how to like ride that wave instead of forcing yourself through it. And I feel like women in a lot of ways are better at this than men. But now you're just like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of those like manic highs. And if that means that I'm like just feeling super creative because it's a full moon and I'm like in my whatever phase, and then and you're up till 3 a.m, just like ideas for content and this and that and the other, and you're just like building and creating, and then maybe the next day you're like, no juice, no thoughts,
and
like
literally there's no other job that so sorry guys, there's no other job that gives you that though. Like what other job do you whether it's corporate or self-employed, whatever it
But
is.
some people need structure. Some
Yes,
people need
Yeah.
routines.
Yeah.
So it is good. It is good too.
So I was going to say, I think, Brittany, the reason that women may be able to navigate that better is because we live on hormonal influxes. So
Mhm.
we're constantly navigating that for ourselves for the majority of our lives anyways.
But I
Mhm.
feel like we
Um,
don't allow ourselves to live based on those fluctuations until we get put in an opportunity where we have that like freedom over ourselves. And then even then you don't like you feel guilty about it. You're like, I should be crushing in my luteal. It's like, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't. And I do agree there are many people that need um structure. We happen to connect because we have very similar neural things, but there's so many people on the neurodivergent spectrum that like need a place to clock in to be able to get out of bed every day. They need,
Yes.
you know, and I think I'm gonna change what I was gonna say about the bad, and I think I'm going to deliver this as a message for everybody out there because I have been a victim of this myself. And without knowing what it is that's happening, I worry for all of us. So I think that one of the strengths or one of the bad things about neurodivergence in professional realms is that if you are not in a position or doing a job that actually works for your neural networking, you are going to be constantly burnt out. You're going to be constantly depressed. You are going to never want to go to work. I sat in my last job before I got into my current industries. I sat in my car and cried every single day before I had to go into work because the masks that I had to pull on were so heavy and I was so tired. So I would say, sorry, I would say that for the bad part for me is if you're not in a good position, it's all going to feel bad. Everything
Yeah.
about what you're doing is going to feel bad. And so if that's you and you're out there, if that's you and you're out there and you're in the entrepreneurial realm and none of it feels good, you might need something with more structure. If you're out there dying under your structure, you might need something with a little more freedom. And all I'm going to say to everybody out there, no matter what we say about what we've done professionally, because we each have our own journeys, what I'm going to say to everybody out there is pay attention to how you feel doing what you're doing. Make your decisions off of that,
Mhm.
you know? Because there's plenty of opportunity out there, structured, unstructured, and alike, to where nobody should be miserable.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I think
Keep
a
an
lot
eye out for that feeling of the cognitive dissonance where like you're like I am doing the thing and everything in me is like trying to scream away from the thing. I had a
Mhm.
miserable job at a law firm and I was so sick all the time. Like really really ill all the time. My body did not want me to go there and it was like a insane crazy person toxic environment and I just like had to quit. But
Well, and also too, like, we talk about the structure versus no structure. A lot of like what I've implemented in my unstructured, routine is from coming from a structured place. So like school, like going to college, like all of those things that like I never really wanted to do. I learned, I took, very little do I use my degree for at this point, but a lot of the structure that I implement in my day-to-day life comes from learning those types of skills like in another environment. So like although we talk about how much we don't like necessarily like the school setting, never really thrived in the school setting, it did teach me how to like create structure within my own life. So a lot of what I apply now, like, I mean, not gonna lie, like bed rot days, days where I'm just like incapable of talking to other humans or talking about work in general and need to like maybe deep clean my house and just declutter my room to make myself feel less chaotic in my mind. But being able to like know, when the differences of like, hey, it's an excuse, or hey, I really need to take a day, because I used to never take a day. And now I'm like, it's okay to go hiking with Lindsay on a Monday because it's important to have nature time. It's important to like unplug and like plug back in later. So it's like it's so normal, and so many, whether it's people in corporate jobs or entrepreneurs that I've talked to, like, oh my gosh, around so many people in corporate jobs this past weekend, because that's, what we were all conditioned to do out of college, and, after college, get this corporate job. But doesn't matter who you're talking to, you need to have those days where you like completely check out. And that's like, whether it be with family time or spending time by yourself, but how normal it is to have those ebbs and flows. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, like, you're going to have times when you're kind of just feeling shitty. Like, that's just the reality of it. But what is it that helps you get back to where you need to be? Is it like nature day? Is it calling a friend? Is it like just sitting in bed all day? Like, whatever that is that you're doing, it's just got to be like you figuring it out for you, because it's like, I will go, sometimes it's unlimited. Like, I don't know how many days I'm going to feel like that. So that's the kind of crappy part, like, about really, like, really the neurodivergence mind, like, when it comes to just like any work structure, is like, sometimes it's one day, sometimes it's 3 days. I don't know how long it's going to be. And I don't want it to necessarily be time, but it like, it's random.
I think also the hyper focus that a lot of us tend to carry can be a downside also, because I hear you kind of describing that a little bit. The we end up working a lot more when we're
Mhm,
not working for somebody else,
mhm.
when it's just left to our own devices. And I think that can end up being in more burnout as well, which I feel like that's what kind of what you're describing right now is
Yeah, like, what
that,
is a
yeah,
weekend?
you get on it and you go, 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 and then you're just like, I'm tapped and I don't know how long I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only limiting yourself to like, oh, like, I'll save that for the weekend. Like, that's what, like, we're really conditioned to do. But it's like, sometimes it's, I need a Monday, Tuesday. But I don't, like you're saying, like, I do something work related typically every single day, which is not probably that normal, most likely. So
For me, the like quote unquote bad was the energy bursts, like
Mhm,
and the proof in science and neurology that that is genuinely how I function is through bursts. And like um John pointed out a couple weeks ago that I do things in sections. He was like, you wash the clothes and then you dry the clothes and then they sit in the dryer for a while and then they get moved to a basket and then they're going to be in that basket for a while. And then you're going to put them on hangers and then they're going to go in that pile of hangers and you're going to put that on top of the basket. And then you're going to go put it in the closet. It's not, I can't, I just, I work in bursts and that's it. And so like, and he and I have also discussed and laughed about, if I had ever entered the corporate world, I said to him, I would have been fired from any company. And he was like 100%, because I think what I would have problems with is I don't understand why HR gets like so upset about stuff. Like, and I'm like, why was I not allowed to say that and be myself? And like the impulsive stuff that comes out of my mouth apparently is like not okay in the corporate world. And also there are like deadlines and like I have to get something done on someone else's timeline. And I don't know if I am capable of that, to be honest. I work under pressure, and when the roof's about to cave in, I'm like, oh, oops, and I put it back up really efficiently and really well. But I kind of waited a long time. Um, so I think if you are neurodivergent and you are in corporate, um, the ability to create systems for yourself, and like whether it be setting a timer or having post-it notes or whatever, and just pushing through that and creating your own system in whatever career you're in is really important, because one, we'll talk about this in the next segment, is that they people don't really care that you are neurodivergent. They need you to get your job done. So, it's our responsibility to create these systems to where we can function in entrepreneurship, or we can function in corporate or a trade or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing that you said about like why can't I just like be myself and respond that way? I've always had a very impulsive mouth. I always got in a lot of trouble to this day. Like, and I struggle more with that than like saying and like saying the thing that shouldn't be said, or like saying something outlandish or whatever the case may be. I struggle with that way more than deadlines. And I feel like that's kind of one of the biggest things that's hardest for me to manage as like a business owner is the situations where you just like you have a thing, you made a commitment and you just don't want to be perceived.
Mm.
And then the feeling that like goes with like the quote unquote masking or whatever. And like I was thinking about this the other day because we're doing like I'm doing a lot of business development through like chambers of commerce and this and that. And there's like a lot of like, badass, like amazing business women that I'm meeting. And they're just like incredible, like pioneers, and they're sharp and they're witty. And they're like women that I highly respect and look up to just from jump, because I'm like, wow, like you really have your shit together. You seem to have accomplished a lot. Like, you started this like journal or this networking group or this or that. And I have like the amount of imposter syndrome that goes with that for me sometimes can be like, um,
Debilitating.
thank you. That's the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
100%.
But we talked about this in another podcast where it's like you just show up, you just honor your commitment, and you just do the thing anyway. And
Yeah.
then 10 times out of 10, you're like, that was amazing. I think it went really well, like blah, blah, blah. But the thing about, I think, and I guess this depends on how you are, but like, I think one of the things about being neurodivergent is the level of introspection. And we call it like being brutally honest with ourselves, but a lot of times it's just like you're just second guessing yourself and you're being unkind because you are so hyper aware of every little thing and every thought that you have and every like everything. And you kind of talk yourself out of the things that you deserve or the power that you have or the weight that you carry in a given room because you are now kind of like shrinking yourself down in that way. And you're just like, oh man, maybe I like shouldn't act like that or shouldn't talk like that or shouldn't dress like that in front of these people so that they don't see me in such a way. But then I'm not being authentic. And I have to
Which is
constantly
exhausting, not
it is exhausting. And I just have to keep reminding myself that like they're not my boss.
Yep.
There, I said it. Like
Yes.
I own a business.
Yep.
They are not the boss of me. They cannot fire me. I don't care if they snicker behind my back in groups, which I'm sure they're not. But like but also I grew up being like mercilessly bullied by girls.
You're talking about the extra 20,000 negative comment trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, that too, but also like, yeah, you just have to remind yourself. And I think that kind of blends into what the beauty of it is like I work for myself. My
Mhm.
husband and I own a business together. Like we do the hiring and the firing.
Hey,
And
you got
nobody can like kick me out of my own circle because I'm building this for myself. So it's like I get to show up how I am and it's take it or leave it. But you have to like have the discipline with yourself in order to do that and be like, do not fake it. Do not change. Do not put on this outfit that doesn't feel like
Mm.
you to like fit in this room. Don't do it.
Britt, when someone says, I need to talk to someone higher than you, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna need you to bow your head and close your eyes. You're gone.
Put out your give me your hands.
Wait,
Okay,
that
We'll
is
do this
funny.
together.
Dear God. She's they're looking for someone higher than me.
I love that, like you see those reels where it's like the manager at the fast food place and someone's just being so rude. It's like, I need to talk to your manager. And they're like, hi, how can I help you today?
Yeah. But that's also the most glorious part about it. And I still don't feel like my brain is registered that I'm like, even when I went on vacation, I'm like, do I need to like tell someone? Like, who do I need to tell? Like,
Your parents.
Yeah, someone that will know who you are and if you go missing.
It's still it's a crazy mind shift. It's a crazy mind shift.
And we're talking a lot about entrepreneurship, but we know that there are, I don't know, millions of neurodivergent people, and the realistic idea of everyone being an entrepreneur is it's not realistic. So we wanted to have a section here where we talked about the brutally honest. And I think that if it's here's kind of what I was thinking is, number one, college might not be the route for you. And so if you're neurodivergent and so I went through this. I struggled from kindergarten to senior year of high school. It was a total bitch for me the whole entire time. The whole 13 years. Every single year was freaking terrible. I literally don't know why they just kept passing me to the next grade. It was that bad. And so I'm looking back now at my 18-year-old self in my student loans, and I'm like, why on earth did I attempt to go to college and think in my head that was going to go well for me? Like, why did I think that? Now, I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm saying look at all of your options. So I think trade school for neurodivergent people is an amazing way to look. And so why I'm bringing this up in the brutally honest section is because sometimes when all your besties are picking their D1 school and they're wearing their sweatshirt now, and you maybe choose not to do that, it doesn't matter what other people fucking think. It matters what is best for you, period.
Mm-hmm.
And really, like, if you're a parent and you have a senior in high school and you're thinking, man, I'm about to take on my child's student loans, and I don't know if this is going to work out for them or whatever. I'm not saying that it can't, but I'm just saying, look at all of your options. And also, if you do go the college route, the degree that you got might not be the career path that you end up being in. This is extremely common, right? So, for instance, Morgan went to college for, what'd you go to college for?
Journalism.
And she's in sales. She's been in sales for 15 years, So that is also okay. But no matter what you choose, there is a very high probability that you're going to struggle in the beginning of anything that you start, whether it be college, whether it be corporate, whether it be entrepreneurship, whether it be a trade, whatever. And because starting anything new feels really big and tangled and confusing, and it's hard to retain all the information. I hate starting new jobs. It is the most overwhelming thing. Whether when I was like a server or a bartender, or when I was running a wedding business, it doesn't matter. I hate starting a new job because the overwhelming information that's being put in your lap. But never once, ever, since I have been working since I was 14, have I ever said, I have ADHD and I need you to treat me and give me special treatment, ever. It is not going to happen, more than likely. And there's a high chance that saying that will make your higher ups maybe look at you differently, or be like, well, if she can't handle the base level here, why would we promote this, or, people don't like being asked for to give special treatment. And especially in corporate, there are ways to go about it. And I'll let Lindsay talk about that. But, the odds are you're going to have to figure out your own system. So, that's just kind of how I feel about that.
And don't be afraid to pivot too. I think because of how not honest and masking I was with myself, literally from college all the way up till I got out of corporate, quite literally just pretended to be a completely different person. I was scared to go off of the path. I went to college. My parents wanted me to go to college. If I look back and could have changed things, I would have probably gotten to where I am now, or even further along at this point, a lot quicker. But I was so afraid to be honest and let people down. I just would go to this job or this suit. I'd be I'm thinking about myself in those scenarios, and I'm I don't even know how. And I started acting like myself brutally at the end, just because I knew I was gonna be quitting and planning to leave. But I just was like, this is your life, and it's like you have to be honest with yourself, number one. And number two, it's like if you're having to like put on a show every single day that you go to work and you cannot be yourself, like that's not normal either. Like that's it happens a lot more often than not, but it's not normal. And you're supposed to feel lit up when you wake up. Like you're supposed
Yeah.
to be excited for about what it doesn't matter what you do. Like I sometimes am like, maybe I'll just go to Target and get a 9 to 5, because I
Well,
know that I would
and
do a damn good job at it, and I would enjoy, like I would just make it out to, I'm talking to people, I get to like help people. It's still customer service, but it's like you should be, whatever your job is, you should be excited to do it. And like
yeah.
you shouldn't dread it because you're like
And
putting on a show.
I totally agree. And I also think people just say corporate. And so they think it's all like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my bestie who has ADHD, like she thrives in corporate, but it's like this really cool, lax vibe.
Yeah.
She gets
Yeah.
to dress like this, and they're
Yeah.
like, get this done by the end of the week. So it's not like these crazy. So there are corporate
Yeah.
structured positions out there that are not like suit and tie and
Yeah.
cubicle and blah blah blah. Like there are levels to corporate.
Right.
So if you're freaking miserable in your corporate job, it might not be corporate. It might be the corporate job you chose.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Hey,
But just
Apple
like
and Google are full
you.
of neurodivergence.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
And that's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, is like, I
Yeah,
mean, I
mainly
went
be
to
you,
I went to college and graduated with honors, and I was gonna do, criminal justice, and I loved it the whole time that I was like learning about it. The thing that I like panicked and ended up pivoting was because after I finished my internship, like all the people that I worked with at the internship were like there for like decades, and they were all miserable. And I was like, oh, I don't want this life. And that's when I was like, oh, I've been going about this all wrong. Like, I need to reverse engineer. Like, it's not just about like what job fits into your like neurodivergent pattern and like what can you manage. It's like, what skills do you want to learn? What kind of like life do you want? Like, do you want to have your like nights and weekends free? Maybe 9 to 5 is best for you, because as maybe an entrepreneur, or like in other maybe 1099 kind of contract positions, you don't have your nights and weekends free. So it's like you have to just figure out what's important to you. And everything has been a building block for everything else. Like I because I was able to, I actually did thrive academically in school, but that's because I was always intellectually curious. The thing that always got me in trouble was my big mouth, and I ditch class, and like, you know what I mean? But like, but I would only ditch the classes that I was like, I don't like this, slash, I don't need this, slash, I'll show up and, I'll still do the homework and I'll still do whatever. Like,
I'd pay big money to skip class with you.
I feel like you were probably bored in school.
I was bored out of my mind, but I never skipped any of my AP classes. I never skipped the classes that I really enjoyed. You know what I mean? And I
You just
graduated
skipped like me. I
college.
skipped religion. I'm like, they're like, well, why'd you skip math? And I'm like, well, out of all the options, I figured that one made the most sense.
Dude, I graduated college with honors. Like one of the most interesting classes and one of the hardest classes I ever took, it was called Magic and Witchcraft in Western Tradition. And literally like
Shocking.
it was the hardest class I took in college, except for like chemistry and physics, which like I tried so hard, cried my way through both of those and got a C. Those are the only 2 C's I got in college. But this magic and witchcraft class, like it took the most amount of like reading, critical thinking, like, and so to be able to like take those skills of like, I know how to ask really good questions. I know how to separate important questions from non-important questions. I can look at an idea, a topic, a conversation and say, there is something intellectually worth discussing here, or I can say, this conversation will make me dumber if I have it. It's given me that ability to like discern and because I love to wonder. I love asking questions. I love like I do like Jordan Peterson's lecture, like university on the side, like for fun. You know what I mean? So like just because you're neurodivergent doesn't mean that you wouldn't thrive in like a structure. Like but it's just what is the purpose for which you're doing it? I don't regret going to college, and I think everything took me to where I am now. I just wish I had more very honest mentorship about how to structure your life in such a way that you do maximize every opportunity and you're not just doing the next thing because it seems like that's the thing you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're on your own timeline too. Like
Mhm.
I very distinctly remember being 18, 20, 21, 23 and being like, okay, when is this going to click for me? When does Shay get to find her niche? What is it? And I would sit there and I would write down, what are the things I'm good at? And I'd be like, yapping.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm hella good at talking to strangers, but sales never crossed my mind ever. But I was every time I sat down to write
Yeah.
this list to figure out like what the hell am I going to do with my life, I always put talking to people. I'm good, and it just sales. It just and I got in a really desperate situation, and a sales opportunity came about, and I just soared. You don't need like a lot of like academic intelligence to sell stuff, but you
You need emotional
yeah,
intelligence.
yes, and I am extremely
Mhm.
intelligent, very aware, very intuitive, and I love yapping to people, whether I know you or not. So
I don't think I ever would have found out that I was good at sales if I wouldn't have gotten like semi-fired from my first like leasing
yeah,
agent job. And my mom was like, Morgan, like, because my mom was always in sales, but she never one time was like, well, you should be in sales. So one day I'm like, I can't be like, this job is ridiculous. Like they want me to do this, they want me to do that. Like, I'm like, this isn't even like my mom's like, Morgan, why don't you just go into sales? And I'm like, I never even thought about that. Like,
yeah.
maybe I'll try it. But like the minute that I started in sales, they're like, oh, you can do whatever you want whenever you want, as long as you're in quota. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm
Like this is the job for me.
I'm like cackling inside when you're like, oh, this job wants me to do this, and they want that. It was probably just like your job.
Yeah. How dare you ask me to fulfill my job requirements for which I'm being paid on
Literally
your time?
studying for another job while at that job. Like
Yeah.
that's not part of it. No.
Lindsay, what do you have? I'm really excited to hear your perspective because you being brutally honest is always very like,
Yeah. So most of you, definitely the four of you, or four of us on this call know that I have made it my personal mission to create conversations and spaces and knowledge about autism specifically in the workplace. I show up unapologetically as an autistic, and I start conversations with new clients with that in the thread of the communications, but I never show up with expectations. That is the biggest thing. I never show up expecting anybody to work around me. I never show up expecting anybody to make exceptions. None of that. I show up to educate and to outperform every time. And what I'm going to tell you is if you are going to enter the workspace, whichever workspace that is, being vocal about being neurodivergent, whatever your diagnosis is, whatever your superpowers may be, you have to be able to walk into any room and stand in your own stilettos. You need to be able to answer questions about your diagnosis. You need to be able to answer questions about how your systems. I often will let people know in the very beginning of working with them, like, hey, I work by my own schedule. You may get emails from me at 3 a.m. Please do not respond until it's your convenience. I'm just working the way that works best for me, and I am going to outproduce everybody else you've worked with. I'm going to give you the benefit of receiving 3 a.m. emails from me from time to time, but it will be a benefit. You can never show up and be a detriment. If you are showing up as a detriment in the workplace, you are doing yourself a disservice for your personal growth and for the people around you. And that is not a fair way to walk the world. So that is what I will say. Show up and educate, know your shit, have your own systems, and always, always, always be willing to take criticisms and be willing to pivot and move and recreate systems, because I know change in our own systems can be very difficult for neurodivergence also. And even if you are like me and have built an entire career where you are very upfront and open about who you are and how you work, and people are seeking to work with you, you are still going to have to do tasks that you cannot stand. There are going to be things you're going to have to do that you don't want to do. And the biggest thing that I can tell you is you're a fucking adult. Get the job done. Like, I know we all have our things, but if you really want to be standing professionally, you're going to have to learn to figure it out, because we've all done that. And a lot of us have done that pre-diagnosis even. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be brutally honest to everybody out there with that one. And this is the one thing I really do want to make sure we're putting out there, is if you are struggling with these things, we go over many systems in our previous episodes. We all have ways to contact us personally. Every single one of us would help you, because I think all of us have mentored people in the professional realm
Oh yeah.
dozens of times over, if not hundreds at this point. So please do not become a detriment with your diagnosis, because it also speaks negatively on the rest of us.
And here's
Oh.
one thing that I also wanted to bring up, Lindsay, to build on what you said, is there's something that I learned in a workshop recently called, and I'm sure we've all seen versions of this, but it's called the skill and joy matrix. So your skill is on the left vertical column, your joy is on the bottom horizontal column. So there's only 4 sections. So on the left bottom quadrant, that's like things that need to be delegated, otherwise they're going to cause burnout. On the top left quadrant is like adulting. Okay, so this is like on your left hand side is like your adulting quadrant. Stuff on the top is stuff that needs to be done, stuff that only you can do. Stuff on the bottom is stuff that needs to be done, but if you're the only one who does it all the time, you're going to get burnt out. On the right hand side, the top quadrant is like your focus or your unique ability. So that is what most people, especially entrepreneurs, spend 20% of their time doing. It is the thing that they are good at, that they are gifted at, that they should be doing. Maybe you're the creative one. You're the one who should be in the business development role talking to people. You should be not talking to people and just coding or doing whatever your thing is. Like, you should be just mentoring. You should be just selling. Like, that's the thing that you should be doing all of the time.
You should be not managing.
Right. And then the bottom quadrant under that is the experimentation, like what's it called, like an experimentation or like energizing stuff. So like that's like what we're doing here. Like, this isn't like making us money. Has nothing to do with our professional careers, but it's something that gives us joy and requires skill, and it energizes us, and it allows us to like build and be creative. So I think also a lot of what I'm learning now, and talking about systems that Lindsay's really good at, is delegating the 80% of like the shit that you hate doing that has to be done, that your life, your business, your household, your children, like everything runs on. Your, meal prep, your laundry, your whatever. Automate and delegate as much as you can, and make it a literal milestone, like business goal, to delegate more of those things. If you're doing your own social media stuff and it's taking you a long time and you're kind of enjoying it, but it's taking away from the thing that you're best at that really drives the business, try to delegate that. Try to automate it. If you can get a cleaning lady, someone to do your meal prep, a meal prep company, like, the more that you can allow yourself to focus on the things on the right-hand side of that column where they build you, they energize you, you're creative, you're able to optimize the thing that you are good at that is irreplaceable with other people, and it gives you joy, that's the thing that you should be focusing on. And that's also the hardest part a lot of the time, is because we feel like only we can do it. Like, I'm
leaning heavily into AI employees right now for all of my menial, tedial admin stuff. I'll post I'm using Ask ROI. You guys find help. You can literally pay a monthly fee like I have, and you can get up to 80 employees to do all of these different tasks for you. Like,
I would love to, maybe we can talk more about that in Yappy Hour, because I'm someone who's like learning to utilize AI, whereas like literally just a couple months ago I was like just a boomer about it. I was like, I hate computers and I hate AI and I don't like robot, like, but now I'm like, no, we're
Neurodivergent
all
people
friends.
don't like change. We like things to stay the same.
I like
I
change,
had
I
to
just don't
put it
like
on
things
my
I'm not
vision
good
board.
at.
Well,
And I don't like things I'm not good at immediately.
That part's hard. All right, Jill.
But yeah, the joy and skill matrix was something that I think is like something that we can kind of remind ourselves, where it's like, here's what we should be focusing on. Is it draining of us of our energy? Is it building a skill set? Is it, you know, inspiring me or my team or my organization or my work, or driving the needle on my business? If no, how do I systematize or delegate that? Just because it has to be done does not mean that you have to do it.
Yes. And again, if you guys need help with any of that, let us know. We are all here. And if you have any other, if anybody out there has watched this all the way through and has some brutally honest input they would also like to give to the watchers, drop it in the comment section, please. Please engage with us, because we will write you back. I promise. I sit here all day and I wait and I check. So show us some love, like, share, subscribe, comment, rinse, repeat. We love you all for joining us. That is episode number 15 for Success on the Spectrum, the podcast. And we, I believe, are going to hop into a yappy hour for those of us that have the time. So see y'all next week.